The Pacific region has become the most strategic area where the potential for conflict remains a constant concern. This stems from China's ambition to surpass the United States and dominate the global economic market. To bridge this gap, Beijing has long signaled its interest in Taiwan. Taiwan is a producer of cement, marble, gold, oil, and natural gas, with key exports including electronics, basic metals, metal products, plastics, rubber, chemicals, and machinery. Its major trading partners include China, including Hong Kong, the United States, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, Malaysia, and Germany. However, China aims to dismantle this system entirely and gain full control over export channels in the Pacific. The Beijing regime aims to achieve its ambitions of control by leveraging its naval power. By 2022, the People's Liberation Army Navy plan had a total tonnage of 2 million tons, making it the second largest navy in the world, surpassed only by the US Navy. However, despite this considerable naval strength, the prospect of a Chinese blockade or invasion of Taiwan presents a nightmarish scenario, one that could lead to both military and economic collapse for China. While many might argue that China's powerful navy and military forces make such an outcome unlikely, the reality of war is far more complex. History has shown that militarily superior nations can face unpredictable outcomes when confronted by adversaries with dense networks of allies. The dynamics of prolonged conflict often favor strategy and alliances over sheer force. In the case of a potential invasion of Taiwan, China risks going down in history as a failed state if such a conflict spirals into a broader war. Let's first examine how Taiwan strategically outmaneuvers China. The Taiwan Strait's rough seas, limited landing beaches, and heavily defended coastline create significant geostrategic obstacles for Beijing. Large-scale logistics operations along Taiwan's coast are notoriously complex. Adding to the difficulty are Taiwan's monsoons, typhoons, and rugged mountainous terrain, which exacerbate the challenges for China's military. With nearly 2 million active and reserve troops, along with substantial equipment to transport, relying on improvised jetties and cargo ships would be highly risky. Defenders could easily target China's jetties, as most beaches where floating jetties might be constructed are within range of land-based defenses, turning evacuation zones into lethal traps. Even before combat operations begin, constructing and installing floating docks is a daunting task. For context, the U.S. Department of Defense allocated $230 million for the Trident Pier, which was only operational for 20 days. In the event of potential Chinese aggression against Taiwan, attempting to build such infrastructure would likely be a catastrophic misstep for Beijing, highlighting the immense risks and challenges of such an operation. Logistics is often far more challenging than initially planned, especially when moving troops and supplies from ships to land without a port. Any Chinese invasion of Taiwan would require the construction of improvised jetties at multiple locations simultaneously. This logistical effort would surpass anything the Chinese Navy has ever attempted. Even optimistic estimates suggest an invasion force of 300,000 personnel, which would be insufficient. Higher projections indicate up to 2 million troops might be required. While some troops, equipment, and supplies could be airlifted, cost constraints would force China to rely heavily on sea routes. However, Taiwan's 7 major ports, which are likely to be hotly contested and heavily sabotaged, would be protected by maritime drones. Taiwan's 14 beaches, suitable for military landings, pose additional challenges. All but one are surrounded by cliffs and urban forests, providing Taiwan's military with ideal cover to ambush any forces attempting to come ashore, as well as the equipment and jetties facilitating their landing. Mother Nature further complicates matters, with weather conditions potentially rendering these beaches unusable, adding yet another layer of difficulty to any invasion plans. The Taiwan Strait, also known as the Black Trench, is notorious for its harsh conditions, including strong winds, wave surges, and frequent fog. For half the year, the region is battered by storms, heavy rains, and fierce monsoon winds. On average, 6 typhoons strike the strait annually. As detailed by Ian Easton in The Chinese Invasion Threat, these challenging weather patterns limit potential invasion windows to just 2 months of favorable conditions, April and October. This narrow time frame significantly intensifies the logistical difficulties. Beyond transporting troops and equipment, the Chinese Navy would also need to deliver vast quantities of food, fuel, and ammunition under these adverse natural conditions. Landing operations alone could demand 30 million tons of supplies, far exceeding the capacity of the Navy's current amphibious transport fleet. To address this, China plans to incorporate civilian roll-on/roll-off ferries as reinforcements. While China has fewer than 50 such ferries today, projections suggest this number could double or triple by 2032. However, even this increased capacity does not resolve the monumental challenge of crossing the beaches. Despite these hurdles, Beijing continues to project its ambitions to take over Taiwan, keeping the issue firmly on its strategic agenda. One key factor highlighting the flaw in China's persistence on this issue is not the limitations of its national navy, but the presence of allied forces in the region supporting Taiwan. Within the Indo-Pacific, a superpower already holds the status that China aspires to achieve, the United States of America. While the US may lack China's immediate geostrategic advantages in the Pacific, it compensates with technological superiority and unmatched naval innovation capable of projecting power across vast distances with exceptional precision and lethality. The current US military presence in the Pacific is a critical reason Taiwan remains unoccupied by China. The pressure exerted by Beijing is countered by the United States. The US Pacific Fleet stands as one of China's greatest challenges. As a theater-level component command of the US Navy, the Pacific Fleet operates from Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam in Hawaii, with secondary facilities at North Island Naval Air Station in California. It is the largest fleet command in the world, covering an expansive area of 100 million square miles, nearly half the Earth's surface. This vast region stretches from Antarctica to the Arctic Circle and from the US West Coast to the Indian Ocean, making the Pacific Fleet a formidable force in countering Chinese ambitions. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.